Welcome to Back in the Bay Magazine podcast. My name's Dave Dale. We have a special guest today, Dan Clement. Thank you for coming to the studio.
Very pleased to be here with you.
He's going to take us back to a day that, and a time not everybody remembers as well as he does, and be able to share that with us. As far as football goes, a lot of people right now are familiar with the Bulldogs, and then other people were familiar with the Ticats. We're going to go a little bit before that, and Dan's going to talk to us about the Northern Ontario Rugby Football Union that was renamed the NFC Northern Football Conference, that commenced in 1954 with 4 teams, including the North Bay Roughriders,
That's correct.
Sudbury Hard Rocks, Kirkland Lake Alouettes, and the Tri-Town Raiders. And Dan actually has one of the original jackets, and he's going to tell us all about it. You'll see it right here on the screen. Right there. There it is right there. I'll put that in later.
Okay.
Dan, I'm really happy that you came to tell the story about the Roughriders and your experience with them, and to bring the jacket. And I know it's been years that you've been trying to donate the jacket to an entity that would display it as part of the history of North Bay. Tell me about the history of the Roughriders.
Well, the history of Roughriders, as mentioned, is actually commenced in 1954. It came about because a lot of us had just finished high school and high school football, and we still loved to play the sport, and it was the fall of the year, what are we going to do? And it was actually generated through Rit Jessup, who was the managing editor of the sports section of the North Bay Nugget, when the North Bay Nugget was a full nugget. So from there, yes, and we found out that, yes, there were other locations, other players in other communities. And so 54, we started and we played our very first game against the Sudbury Hard Rocks. We lost that game, I think it was 23-10 or some score like this. And then it just grew from there. So in 1955, the North Bay Roughrider, the name Roughrider, arrived through the sponsorship, if you want to use the word sponsorship, of the CFL Ottawa Roughriders. We became affiliated with the Ottawa Roughriders on a semi-professional footing. They presented jackets to the 1955 North Bay team, and hence the name Roughriders. And then from there, the name has changed, of course, over the years. So we started in 54 with some exhibition games. We didn't have any equipment to speak of. We obtained our equipment through the generosity of the local high schools. In North Bay, we had the 2. We had Schollard Hall, and we also had the NBCI and VS, North Bay Collegiate Institute. Through the generosity of their head coaches of the sports elements in these 2 high schools, we were able to borrow equipment. 55, we became a little more professional as related to what we would be wearing to play football.
How old were you at this time in 1955?
Most of us would be about 18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. 18, 19, that in that area.
Which high school did you play for or go to?
Yeah, North Bay Collegiate, NBCI and VS, yes. Yeah. And our arch rivals was the Schollard Hall because we only had the 2 high schools. So some of the players we played against became teammates on the Roughriders. Yes, but that's basically how we obtained our equipment, through the generosity of the high schools.
Who were some of the players on the team that you can remember?
Well, we had 4 brother acts. They were called Morrises, Josh and Alan. And then we had the Desmond Field and his brother Alvin. And then we had the LaBrusse brothers, Morris, or Mo, is known as Mo, and Edgar LaBrusse. And then we had the McKees, and I don't believe they were brothers, but were products of 2 uncles, I guess. And Dave McKee actually carried on to a professional career and started out with the Rough Riders and was drafted and made it was actually the Hamilton Tiger Cats as the team that he played for. And Dave and I played in the backfield and also returned kickoffs. So the other lad, that McKee lad, who would have been a key professional player. He was a magnificent specimen and strong and athletic. Went another career path. He became a Roman Catholic priest here in the district of North Bay. And another player that also received an invitation to play for a big team, Big Ten, I guess you might say, Michigan State, to go to their tryout camp. And his name was Bill Troy. Now, the name Troy, his dad was Leo Troy, who was the athletic director at NBCI and VS. And Bill went to camp in Michigan, and I don't remember the name of where the university was located. But Bill returned home in about 3 weeks afterwards, and we were surprised to see him in such short notice. And he said, "You know, Dan," he said, "I went to camp, and he said, they don't play football down there. He said, they try to kill you." So that's why Bill, I guess, returned home. And he was our fullback with the North Bay Roughriders for a number of years. Some of the lads that started in 54, we played 54, 55, and in 56, and then we started to get permanent jobs and raise families, etc. So football did not, as physically as playing the game, we just sort of dropped out of it. But some of the lads went on to refereeing of that 1954 and 55 team.
Wow.
So,
what did you do for a living after football?
I was fortunate. North Bay at that time, they had the CNR Railroad and the CPR Railroad, Ontario Northland Railroad, and they also had what was known then as Ontario Hydro, which became Hydro One. I was fortunate enough to be employed by Ontario Hydro. And so I spent the first part of my hydro career in North Bay, but also relocated twice during this career and eventually ended up back home with an early retirement package. So,
what did you do for Ontario Hydro?
Well, I was a manager of services, and one of the relocations was in the town of Mattawa. Moved as a family member. Another was in Kirkland Lake, and then thirdly back home. When I came back home after Kirkland Lake, I was more involved with the distribution end of things, outside lineman services, etc., and eventually retired and stayed home from that point on. And
did you have a big family?
I had my two daughters, and I had two sons. Yes, had four.
That'd be called a good big family now.
Yes,
it's probably small from your day.
Yeah. Well, yes, yeah, that's yeah. So, like as mentioned about the brothers that played on the football team, and they would have other siblings of the same family. So, yes.
What was the family you came from? Did you have many brothers and sisters yourself?
I had one sister. Yes,
okay.
That's all. Yeah. One of my sons, one of the two sons that I had, he just recently passed on.
Oh, okay.
Had heart problems. My sister passed on early in life. Yeah. So there's only the two of us. So I still have the two daughters that work and live in North Bay. One is a teacher, and one is a personal support worker.
Yeah, in the Echo Network, Tracy came in and did a show with Lisa Boyvan, the To North Bay with Love show with Scott Kyle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just the other day. And she was talking about her work and why she does it. So I'm very impressed with her.
Yeah. Well, I have a few concerns because the night travel of visiting with some of the lads and ladies, although distributing clothing and foodstuffs and so on. Fortunately, she doesn't go out alone. She does have company, but
She does a good service, though.
yeah. Well, she loves to do it, so what am I? Yeah,
What are you going to do, eh?
what are you going to do?
Well, as a father, we have concerns what our children do, no matter what. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah.
my son played football. He was a Trojans player. He was a linebacker. I think in his final year, he was the defensive player of the year or something like that.
Okay.
And he went on to Laurier, played a couple of years in football there.
Yeah.
He had some shoulder issues, and he got out of that, and now he's in the mixed martial arts. So he's a combat fighter. And
Well, he probably enjoys when it's time and that little touch and of football.
he's living his best life there. He's chasing his own dreams, and that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And sports was a big part of everybody's lives, more so before, right? It was an opportunity to do things because there wasn't a whole lot else to do.
Yes. Yes.
What other sports did you play in high school and afterwards?
Well, I played GMFA fastball here in North Bay.
What position did you play?
I was a pitcher at one time, and then had to move out into left field primarily when I wasn't pitching. Prior to that, we
You
had
looked
a
like
junior.
you could run the bases.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a junior team that was sponsored by the Algonquin vets, the Algonquin Regiment vets.
Right. Oh, okay.
And we went on as a junior team before we en masse graduated to GMFA and won the Northern Ontario Championship.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Well, that would be back in, I'd be 15 or 16. So,
So
at that.
51.
yeah, I'd be in there 48, 51, somewhere
yeah.
in those areas. Yeah.
What was North Bay like back then?
Well, the community, we were, as related to the Rough Riders, we were the only thing that was happening in the fall. So we had crowds of 1,200, 1,300 coming to our football games. And that's the way it started. And this crowd would follow the hockey team and then the fastball in the summer. So we were attendance was well received. And it was a pretty good brand of football. We didn't.
How many people would come out to a game against Sudbury?
Oh, well, with Sudbury, they would bring up a contingent of fans, and we would be doing the same thing. We would go to Sudbury.
Yeah.
So, yes, the attendance would seem to rise somewhat when Sudbury were our natural rivals, actually.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You remember any games where you guys beat them good?
Not that I can recall. No.
Well, there's an honest answer.
That's right. And even when Sturgeon Falls Bombers came into the league, and you say Sturgeon Falls, and you're in North Bay, population-wise, but Sturgeon were able to draw from Field and Warren and the surrounding townships.
Some farm boys.
Yes, that's right. And they were very strong, and they were a very good football team.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a really good time to be able to play football.
Well, one of the things as we got sponsorship, and Fisher Street now is named after Rolly Fisher, who ran a Mercury car dealership. He came on board and paid for our, you might say, insurance while playing. So that took care of those dollars. But we had local sponsors in the town, and that would, or Fankus was the sports center here at the time. He contributed. So we never got into fundraising per se, but the dollars seemed to be there to look after us. Now, traveling, you see, was all Northern Ontario, so we didn't experience a great cost. Some of the lads had cars, some of them had their parents, and that's how we got back and forth to games. We were not part of a bus entourage. we would have a cavalcade of cars, and we would appear and play and come home.
Yeah,
And
a
that's
parade
how
of
we-
cars going back and forth.
Back and forth is the way we did it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, our meals were provided while we were away. But beyond that, that was our major expense.
Have you had a chance to get out and see any of the high school or the other senior Bulldogs at all?
Not so much the Bulldogs, no. But, yes, I have seen some football, yes, high school football.
Today's actually, I think it's October 18th. Is it the 18th?
Yeah, it's 18th.
There's 3 games today I've got to go to. 2 junior games. One at 3:30. I think it's at Omichelle.
Okay.
And it's between Chippewa, who's just has a new junior team getting back into it.
That's right, yes.
And against Franco Cite. Both of them are 0-3. So they're going to be able to break
Somebody's going to break it.
break
Yes,
the goose egg
yes,
there.
Yes.
Then at 5 o'clock, I think the game's against Schollard and West Ferris at Schollard juniors, and they're both 3-0. Right?
So there's going to be a change here.
Yeah.
right?
So the best thing I like you have great disparity between the school teams. Right? You have really strong ones,
Yes.
and then you have weaker ones, and but it's when you got 2 0-3 teams playing each other, that's a game.
Yes,
Right? And then when
yes.
you have 2 3-0s playing each other,
Yes,
that's like
a
a
game.
championship game,
That's right.
right?
That's
So
right.
that's great football. And also at 7 o'clock, I believe Algonquin, which is a strong team. Is it Algonquin? Yeah, I think the Schollard has a bye this week. So Algonquin's playing West Ferris, which hasn't won a game yet.
Okay.
So and Algonquin's the top team. So they may not play everybody or whatever. So West Ferris might have a chance of breaking their
break it.
goose egg.
That's right. Yep.
Because next, I think they both, Schollard and West Ferris have to play in the semifinal because Algonquin's got the bye, right? So, well, maybe it's West Ferris. Anyway, so it's good football because of the drama.
Well, yeah. And then that inspires the boys to play all that much more. You know, it doesn't take much to get them into a frame of mind and
Yeah, they have
play well.
motivation.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's key.
But that makes sports really. You know, if you can bring it and make things competitive, even if one of the 3-0 teams were to play the 0-3. Even then, the 0-3 boys, I think, would be really ready to play football that day.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's it's like our Toronto Blue Jays. Sometimes they're okay, sometimes they're not. So,
Do you follow CFL now or NFL?
well, I follow the NFL more than I follow the CFL. Yes.
Is there a
Well,
reason for that? Why is
Pardon?
that? Why is that?
Better football, more competitive. And I think, as Bill Troy said earlier when he came back, he says, you know, they don't play football; they play to kill you. And
I graduated grade 12 in Canton, Ohio, where the Football Hall of Fame is, right? So for my, I went from Caperall, where I had a school of 223 people, grades 9 to 13. And I went to a school in Ohio, which had a separate campus for grades 11 and 12. We had 1,400 kids in 2 grades. And they had another campus for the junior high school, and it was grade 9 and 10, and they had 1,600 kids. And you could imagine Friday night football down there when the Glen Oak was playing Massillon, and they're playing for Pride in Canton.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
It's massive.
That's and some of these lads probably have gone on maybe professionally somewhere down the road.
Quite possibly, we thought you could see the stars of the team, and you would think, oh, those players are so great, they're going to make it. I never heard of one because they have so many great football, right? It's just the States is littered with great football and very competitive and right from a young age, right?
Yes, you're just reading my mind there. I was going to say even from preschool age, if they're watching it on TV and it's being ingrained, and they just seem to go step by step, and that's why when they're 15 years old, they're almost professionals. They know the game.
They're not just indoctrinated; it's part of their culture, right?
Well, yeah, okay, that's a better way of phrasing it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, in the 70s, I lived in Pittsburgh when the Steelers were winning, right? So I lived there from 73 to 77. So I was a Steelers fan. I still am. But it was like eat, breathe football.
Yeah. Do you ever have any get-togethers, like homecomings and this sort of thing?
Down in the States?
In the States from these?
I'm not a big fan of going down the States.
No.
Yeah, I left there for a reason.
Sure.
I really had an affinity for Canadian culture and Canadian perspective. I like being here. I love it in Northern Ontario. I've been a few places, and I think this is the best place in the world. So I don't travel a whole lot, right?
Well, thank you for that comment, because I'm a North Bay boy, so you can carry on as long as you wish.
I chose to live in North Bay for a reason, and I think it has great potential still, and it has great assets and a great place to raise a family compared to many of the other places that you can go to.
Yeah.
Right? I think people that live here don't understand what they have.
Well, I always think of Lake Nipissing, and I keep seeing they're going to be redeveloping again along where the former industrial plant was there. As we keep loading up that shoreline, I wonder just how pristine our Lake Nipissing is going to be maybe in 5 or 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. Right now, I enjoy it tremendously down at the waterfront in Lake Nipissing, yes.
Yeah, it really is a jewel, right? So
Yes.
we've got to make sure you protect that and keep it. What other parts of North Bay do you like growing up? But before I ask you that question, I want to go back into the football a little bit.
Yep.
Talk to me about the coaches that you knew, because coaching is like an art, right? You can have a really good one or a bad one.
Well, when we first started out in '54, we did not have a coach. We had Bill Troy's father, Major Leo Troy, the athletic director, as I mentioned earlier, and he filled in with Britt Jessup, who was the sports at the North Bay Nugget sports editor, North Bay Nugget. The second year, Josh, one of the brothers. Josh and Allie, Josh Morris was his name. He became our coach, and he stayed for the 2 years after that I played, 55 and 56. What after that, I don't know. The name changed and coaching changed.
What was he like? What was he like as a coach?
Very honest. Okay.
Blunt with his opinion, and you tell you straight out?
He would do so, but he would do it privately. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't like a team meeting. If he had something, he would take you aside, and this is what I would like to see you do, or this is what I think you can improve upon. So it was a one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I think most of the players, in fact, I would say all the players appreciated that approach. Mm-hmm. Rather than a forum, so to speak, to discuss whatever the fallacies were and what we should be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's why Josh carried on he probably enjoyed it also.
Right.
We didn't win very often, but still, as long as you gave your effort and so on, he was happy, and I guess we were happy, trying to do our best, yeah.
Do you remember any decent plays that meant a lot to a game for you? Like I know people remember certain games for certain reasons.
Well, the two positions I played was return punts, and what Dave McKee went on, as I mentioned earlier. So, yes, catching a punt return and being able to return it. Never did return it to the end zone, but there were times when you might get a little break and be able to bring it back 20 yards or thereabouts. So those occasions are the things that I think I remember best. As a halfback, yes, I remember one play being a buck, if you can use that term, and I found that slot, and there wasn't any blocking. It was a buck to get a couple of yards, and I think I ended up with 15 yards or something through that slot.
Yeah.
One on against the balance of the other team.
Yeah, so being able, from what I can tell in football, like the guys enjoy it so much to be able to contribute to the team. So even if it's a 15-yard run at a key moment and you get a first down,
Yep.
like that's huge, and everybody congratulates each other and they're very supportive.
Oh yes. That's a give. Even on the bench, was if they weren't on the field, if the defensive boys were on the bench and so on, you knew you could hear the applaud from the boys' net.
Oh yeah,
and that, yeah. It was cohesive, and that's the beauty of sports. And you make friends for life in many instances. And
tell me about some of the friends you made for life.
Well, at my age, most of them are gone now.
Yeah.
But yes.
I just want to be able to tell the viewers, if they couldn't do the math when you started football and what age you were, when do you celebrate your 92nd birthday?
Every day.
It's all gravy now, right?
That's right. But some of the lines, leading to where they disappear. This is why the jacket is here, and a little touch is in it right up there. Some went on to professional careers academically, and one lad I can think of right now was Ernie Lucadalis. He was a barrister here in town. He was appointed as a circuit judge in the Parry Sound district, and Ernie would move to Parry Sound.
Good
Another
career.
lad was our, if you want to call him, I call him a snap, where you handle the football, you give it to your quarterback based on whatever the play is. He was tough as nails, and I thought that maybe after football he would have been a marvelous policeman or a fireman. But his career path was a chartered accountant, and he spent his career sitting behind a desk. So you can look at somebody and how they handle themselves within a sports environment and say, wow, this is a direction he should go. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. It just goes in a direction you never even think about at the time.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of lads that carried on in that way academically, yes.
Oh, that's cool. Like everybody has their life paths and sports. What do you think sports does to a person that it benefits them later in life, even if they're not in athletics?
Well, I think sports gives you a feeling of belonging, and if you're down, a member on that team will bring you up. So yes, I believe that sports makes so. There are different levels, of course, but it brings out the best and the players themselves, and they support each other. And you bring that, if you can bring that forward in your married life or bring it forward into your business life, everything is much, much better for everyone concerned. So yes, I think it's the cohesiveness, it's the belonging, it's the understanding that your other players have of your abilities and what you have of their abilities, and you accept. You never reject, but accept. And I think that's a lesson in life. Don't become negative. Be positive. And that's what sports brings.
That's an excellent way to describe it. My son, with his on my fridge, on the top of it, there's a photo I have that I took with these guys. They were playing for the Nipissing Wild, right?
Yep.
These three guys, they're
Yes.
good friends. And I captured a photo of them. They all played defense, right? And they're chasing down a guy running. But I have the three of them, right? Captured in the photo.
Oh,
So last night they were over in my kitchen. This is 10 years later, almost, not quite 10 years. Say 7 years later, something like that. And they're sitting around. They each all have their own lives. Two of them have their families. They have their career paths. And they're sitting at the table like they would have 6 or 7 years ago, same as they were playing. And to listen to them talk about what their concerns are, each of their personal struggles,
sure.
and they were doing exactly what you're talking about, lifting each other up.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's the most important part, right? Brotherhood.
I accept that. That's all I can say. No, it's even though some ladies and gentlemen don't participate in the actual sport, but they're there to support you as a fan or to bring you up when you're down, even though they're not athletic, so to speak. But they're there. And that's very important, I think, from the point of a player to have that fan support.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, today sometimes it's negative support, but I think it should continue to be more positive, and that will make a better player of the person and a better game all around on the team.
You can say that a true fan isn't necessarily a critic of a team, right? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have become critics of their own teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And some of them take it maybe to an extreme. And like we can look at our own hockey team from time to time, the battalion.
Mm-hmm.
I go to battalion games, but I support primarily the Nipissing University hockey. And they're comprised, as you're aware, of players that have had a touch of professionals, had a touch of OHL, tried it, and they came back, went to school, and completed their education.
It's great hockey, eh?
Yes.
It's good hockey. I like that brand of hockey. If I'm talking about brands of hockey, I like the university level very much so.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I can see it as a true form of hockey where you got grown men with good skills going straight at it, but in a way where because of the university rules and people aren't there to kill each other, right? But it's tough, it's gritty,
tough.
and it's
Yeah.
fast. And
Yeah.
it's the closest thing I think you can get a community to what could be professional level hockey players, right? Yeah. And the women's teams, they're great to watch too. We're recording this on the 18th. They're starting their season at their Gardens. They have 2 games this weekend.
Yep.
That's good hockey.
Yes, they did very well a year ago. I think they ended up first or second in the
Well, they were at the
division.
Nationals 2 years in a row.
That's what it was,
right?
yeah.
And they were runners-up provincially those 2 years, and they almost got to the gold in the 1 year. So they've through Darren Turcotte and I'm not sure. Did you know Butch Turcotte at all?
No.
Okay, so they've Darren played in the NHL for quite a
Yes.
while, and
Yes.
he's brought something to the Lakers
That's
women's
right.
hockey organization.
right.
Before that, the Ice Bolts, and he brought the midgets to the Nationals, right?
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
so very high brand of hockey.
Well, he's returning a gift that he received, and he's passed it on.
Yeah.
And I think players respect that. You know, they see in this individual, he's been there.
Yeah.
He's done it. You know,
Yeah.
he's been up and down, so he can bring us along. He experienced everything that we, as a player, experience. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, sometimes we give up, whatever. So as a coach, I think he's excellent. I agree.
Yeah, he can relate. Yeah, and the players can relate to him,
Yes,
and that's it. That makes a powerful combination.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes a winner. That's all.
Yeah, it builds the character and the skills and the determination level, expectations to be a champion. Yeah. And like you say, sometimes they become champions in life after sports.
I think so, and I think sport has a lot to do with your future, how you handle the future, how you can handle something that is full of anxiety, and how you can deal with it in your own personal life or family life, and happiness, and of course despair. But you learn how to handle that through sports primarily, because you face these issues when you play sports.
You learn coping skills.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because well, life is not easy. And you shouldn't expect it to be.
No,
No, you have to be prepared for life. You have to, and sports helps you prepare for life, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the stepping stone to preparing for the future.
Yeah.
And with sports, you start out at a level that is relatively young, and this builds as you age and continue your sports. It just continues to build and make you a better person, a better understanding, and bring that into your workforce or work level.
And family, right?
And family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about this blue jacket here. You got the Nipissing University College and the owl there. So that's going back.
Yes, it was affiliated with Sudbury Laurentian. This is a college out of Sudbury, and but we did at the Canadore campus have part of that environment was Nipissing College, affiliated with Laurentian, and the reason I brought that in is because some of our football players, and I just wanted to highlight that some people that play into their sports environment do carry on academically. And in the case of the Nipissing College team, the Owls, I don't recall too much about them being athletic in the game of hockey, okay? But I do recall Nipissing being somewhat enthused as what was happening at the Laurentian, because that was the university we were with. And some of our players on the Rough Rider team did carry on academically afterwards. So I just wanted to highlight that, yes, sports are sports, and but there are people that will carry on beyond their sports environment academically. And we've had a number of people on the Rough Rider team that did so. So that is the tie-in I was trying to bring forward.
That's cool, because there's always another level, another stage of life, and people move on, and of course they prepare for that.
Yeah,
as they get there,
as they get going. That's correct. Yeah.
Well, this has been a great chat. We both got a little softy out there. It's an emotional thing when we talk about what's important in life.
Well, I think some of it has to do with your own life. If you look after and try to be positive, I think that helps you to deal with anything that arises as you get older. It could be a health issue. You're not quite as swift anymore on remembering items. So it's a development process. And as we move on, I think we can look back and say, that was a positive thing that happened. And that, to me, helps you in the future.
For sure.
Brings you a little more, looking at the outlet, a little more positive than negative. Even though I have negative feelings on some of the teams I cheer for that don't do well. But however, that's not disgraceful. But yes, you still go back and hopefully they'll do better next week.
Do you watch baseball at all?
Yes, I do, yes.
World Series is on. Who's your team?
Well, actually, I would prefer, I don't cheer for New York. Let me put it that way.
We all cheer against New York.
Okay, right? Yeah. Well, of course, the Blue Jays, I was I was, of course, the area when the Montreal Expos were around. I still think they could have another team here. But so, right, it would have to be the Mets would be the team that I would really have liked to see carry on.
I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'm rooting for the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, I was a little disappointed in Cleveland. I
Yeah.
thought they could have played somewhat better. Yes. No, I watch a tremendous amount. I watch golf, try to play golf. I watch football. I watch
Who's your NHL team?
Montreal. Always has been.
I've been feeling this tension. There's a tension between us, and as a Leaf fan, I can feel it.
Well, but there was a day, and similar to what you were mentioning, you would know the players by name. You would know their position. You knew how they were playing, what their points were. In Montreal, ask me to name the players now.
They change too quickly. It's hard to get attached.
Yeah. Like I remember, of course, like you could do with the Leafs. So, you remember Mahovlich and Kennedy and all these. Well, I can remember Rocket Richard and so on. But you knew that. Now, don't ask me who. I can remember this new guy, Suzuki, who was their captain. But beyond that, I have no idea who these other guys are.
Let me tell you my Dodgers story. It was 1974. I was down in Pittsburgh. I was in grade 4. I was playing baseball for the Dodgers, right? And that was my first year baseball organized. I was on the bench a lot. I was like a year younger and never played before. So I was, but I was with a team that went 14-0, right?
Oh.
In our little league in Moon Township, right? And we ended up getting a telegram from the Dodgers wishing us luck in our little championship of grade 4 baseball.
Yeah.
Right? And we all got a copy of the telegram wishing us luck from the Dodgers.
There you go.
And
that's what we say. Isn't that that's the beauty of sports, really, And it's something you remember, something you probably still have the telegram, I don't know.
It was in an album from a long time. I hope I still have it. I have almost everything else. Right? But I do remember that. And we had I remember the team. The pitcher was one of the hardest throwing pitchers at that age, and everybody called him Radar because you needed a radar to see his baseball kind of thing. And the next year, I ended up moving to another area to play, and where I was the second year guy, and I knew how to play, so I could contribute to the team and play more. And that was my glory days.
Well, that's where it started, though.
Grade 6 baseball.
Yeah.
Grade 6 baseball.
But you carried on afterwards. So
I played, and I loved the sport. I had a bad leg there, so I couldn't. I tried to make the high school team in Glen Oak and Kent, Ohio, in my grade 12 year, and I could play with just about anybody in Cape-Pearl. I'd have to hit a double for a single because I ran slow, but I was a pitcher, catcher. I was a pitcher and second baseman and fielder, and I had a good arm, right? But I tried out for their high school team, and I wasn't even close because they had all been living, breathing it all those years.
All those years,
and
yes.
And they took baseball very seriously there too, just as serious as football. Yeah.
Which is something that you touched on earlier with football. They come up from, it's ingrained on them, and they're 5 years old.
Oh yeah,
and you grow up in that environment. And
same with the baseball. All their sports they take very seriously.
Yeah.
But those are the core ones, I believe. And now they're getting really serious about hockey too. So there's some good players coming out of the States.
Well, yes, because now we have the Professional Ladies League, and they seem to be doing quite well.
I'm looking forward to seeing them play because, from the university hockey I've seen with the women's team,
Yeah.
that's exceptionally fast
Yeah.
and skilled and rough hockey. Right?
Oh, yeah,
It's tough hockey.
I saw a couple of the local girls team, our local girls play a couple of games. Yeah, last year I haven't. Well, of course they just finished. They just started their, October the 4th or something was their first
They've
game.
only had, I think, one game so far, and this is their home opener
This is
tonight.
home openers. Okay.
Yeah, tonight at 6, I believe, and then tomorrow at 4.
Yeah.
Not that anybody matters because this won't be published until early next week or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to covering them. We have this new Sportscast podcast that we're doing out of Echo. We've done 5 so far, and I'm not sure if you've seen them yet, but I'll get a link so that you can watch it. But we're doing high school sports. The first half of the half-hour show is all high school, and I'm covering football. I'm covering the girls basketball, the boys volleyball right now, right? So, and I'm co-hosting with Paul McLean from Source for Sports store on Fisher Street.
Yes.
And in the middle, we're doing interviews similar to this, people that were involved. Right now, we're interviewing, we interviewed the women's basketball coach for the Lakers. That'll be in today's. That's actually in today's.
Oh.
We've interviewed, I interviewed a kid that's with Bishop's University. He played 5 years football with them. He was a Trojan star. I interviewed the quarterback from the Scholar team, Bears.
Yes.
And one of the fullback, halfback linebackers for Algonquin. And I am so amazed at the maturity of these kids and the poise and just maturity of them in interviewing them. Like a lot of people talk about kids these days as if they're stuck on their computers and they're not going to do anything in life. Well, that's not the case. I see some of the best as they're growing up and in university and making their careers. 2 of them were going to be kinesiologists and into sports therapy and rehab. Excellent career paths, right?
Yes.
And it's not a breeze to get through university in those courses, right? So very dedicated, and I think and I've seen some of these kids grow up, and they're becoming adults through sport.
Through sport, yeah. I was going to say earlier in life they've become an adult. Yeah. Their approach is different. Yes.
Yeah.
And like we touched on a little earlier, I believe that that's what sports does for you.
Yeah,
It elevates you.
The Sportscast show also has. I'm covering a little bit of the adult leagues. Like I think on Sunday there's flag football championships for the women and men's teams. There's fall baseball. Their final series, the men's series, starts on Sunday at 4.
Yeah.
Those are grown-up guys that I've seen grow up through sports, playing adult baseball at night.
Yeah.
And so we end the Sportscast with a heritage moment where we do a little something from the Sports Hall of Fame, right? Okay. So what I'm trying to do with that Sportscast is actually have an intergenerational sports show where you have high school kids, you have university,
and then you have the
adults doing their thing, and then a little bit from the past, and hopefully people will see that connection and how it just goes through life.
That's right. The stages that it goes through, and you say a little bit from the past and how it affected these people as they get older, and find out. Look, I'm not athletic anymore. I can't do these kind of things, but I can stay interested, and that's what it's going to do. It's going to keep them interested.
And I had recorded a couple of the induction Hall of Fame induction acceptance speeches. right?
Sure.
And when you listen to them, even to the awards acceptance speeches for the awards, when you listen to them and with heartfelt thanks to those family members that supported them,
Yep.
right? So it's just like what we're talking
Yep.
about. It's just real life reflected, right? I'm hoping that the show gets a lot of support because I know what that can do. For a community,
Sure.
identity and pulling people together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who knows? I just like having people tell their stories, and I really appreciate you coming in.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. It's I've been trying to get the jacket on display with a little right up to people walk by me. We see that. What is this? Oh, I didn't realize they had a semi-professional football team back here in 1954.
Yeah.
My dad should know about that, but now I don't know anything about that. Anyways, thank you very much for your time.
Well, this is going to make a great little feature in my winter edition for the Back in the Bay magazine as well. So you're going to get to see people get to see this in a video format, and then they'll get to see a write-up in the magazine, and that'll be something people can keep for a long time. Yeah.
I do thank you very much, and I look forward to it.
Right on.
And
maybe I'll see you at the football field.
Could be. Well, there at the hockey arena, if you're doing some of your...
Well, if you see me, come up and say hi, please.
I will,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. Yeah, I have another chap that has health issues, and we go to the university games, so hockey games. We don't go too much to the battalion, but he enjoys getting out and just getting away from his own personal problems.
Well, getting out
and
and
that's
public.
what it does. Athletics, and just not as a player, but as a fan, you get involved. You forget about my own personal things, and I'm involved. I want to see this guy get a goal. I want to see him tie it up. I want to see him win.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of sports.
Yeah, and some people think that fanship is an escape from life. It's just taking a break from life and adding to your life by celebrating other people's lives.
Yep, that's right. That's a better way to say it. But I'm on the same wavelength. Okay.
Well, thank you, Dan.
I do thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and being able to talk a little bit about sports history in North Bay back into the 50s and onward, I suppose. And yes, and a number of the people that I became associated with went on into their professional life, and touching on what you had touched on about the little Dodger contact when you were younger. They call from time to time to see whether I still answer the telephone or not. Yeah, no. And that's what it brings back. So thank you very much, Dave, and I certainly look forward to I will see you at the arena from time to time, I'm sure.
Oh, good. I'm glad to have met you.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's another Back in the Bay magazine podcast. It's you'll get to see part of this and be used in our North Bay Echo Sportscast as well. And watch out for the story in the winter edition of the Back in the Bay magazine. It'll be coming out before Christmas. Have a good day.